Joran van der Sloot is a nasty piece of work. If you've read the news about him this week, you will know. But just how nasty is he? Let's find out in this podcast from Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if we can see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Or, with Joran, what are they hiding? Natalee Holloway disappeared in 2005, and since then, many people have thought, believed, or known that Joran killed Natalee, even though her body was never discovered. This week, Joran made a full confession. Well, he made a confession. Is it a full confession? Because apparently this was part of a plea deal, so he got an easier life, easier conditions for confessing to this murder. And many people are saying, well, as he just said, yeah, I did it in order to get an easy life. Or is this him finally being honest with Natalee's family about what happened? The link to the extract of the confession is available in the description for this show if you want to go and look at it yourself. And we're going to look at that and the words that he chooses to use to see if he is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about what happened. A word of warning, there is some graphic language in this confession. I've toned it down on screen. I'm not going to dwell on the most graphic parts of this confession at all. But if you're at all triggered by that, either bail out now, I get that, I don't want to be a gory channel, or go to the end and look at the conclusions so you can see what kind of person Joran really is. And I ask one thing of you. If you want more people to know what Joran is, what is revealed through an analysis of his words, then please hit the like button on this video because that will help bring it to the attention of more people. Comment as well your observations, your questions, your disgust at what you see, all welcome in the comments below. Or if you disagree, please put them in the comments below. Again, if you want more people to understand what kind of man this is and what kind of confession this is, share it with your friends or your social networks. And if you want more videos like this, the subscribe button will be your friend. So let's get going. It's 2 pages of a 4-page confession, so it feels like it starts halfway in. We're going to look at the words, and then we're going to pick pedantically into why he's chosen those specific words to use. So Joran's confession extract starts, plus, she asked to go back to her hotel, but I was just trying to get dropped off a little bit further away from her hotel so we could walk back to her hotel and I might still get a chance to be with her. The first thing I noticed there is he mentions the hotel a lot, and he talks about locations a lot in this confession. I think that's really telling, and we'll see why as we go through. The other thing I notice is something I'd expect to see. This is someone talking about things that happened in the past. In fact, 18 years ago, and it's told in past tense. She asked, I was, so we could. However, he doesn't use past tense all the way through this confession, and when he doesn't, we'll come to talk about that. Past tense right now is expected. Now look at how much he is downplaying what he did, because he's, in essence, what this is saying is, I'm manipulative, I'm a controller. She asked to go back to the hotel. I decided that she wasn't going to get to go back to the hotel like she asked. Instead, we were going to get out where I wanted. That's what he says here. We know that. We can see that. He's controlling. He's taking charge. He's telling her what she's going to do. But he tries to downplay his intentions. I was just trying, so small, just trying, not, just trying, not loads of effort to control, just trying. And it was only a little bit further away from her hotel. Do you think it was? Or was it quite a bit away? Because he's downplaying it just a little bit further away. And I might still, all vague and, maybe just a wishful hope there. Just imagine he was head over heels in love with her. What language would he use then? He would be like, I was crazy about the girl, so I arranged to get dropped off just a little bit away from the hotel so I could walk her back along the beach in the moonlight. And he doesn't use any of that language at all. He downplays his intentions by making them seem small. And he's coy here as well. I wanted to be with her. He's downplaying that. That he didn't want to be with her. There was much, much more to it there. My thoughts, his plans weren't romantic at all, but he had plans there. It's obvious he had plans. He's then asked by the person interviewing him. He says, okay. And he says, that's what I was hoping for. That is the last, I think, the last bit of past tense we will see in all this confession, even though every single word is about that night in 2005. He's then asked, okay, so what happens? And he says, yeah. And Deepak drops me off at another place, a little right of the Marriott Hotel known as the Fisherman's Huts. This place is not so far from, the next hotel is the Marriott, and the next hotel after that is another Marriott, which is a timeshare. And then it's the Holiday Inn. We walk along the beach. Location, 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 location. He's got a mental map of where everything is here. Can you see that? And he is location's so important to him, and he has this mental map of what was there. Even another place we walk along the beach where he is very important to him in the telling of this story. Now you'll note he has gone into present tense. Deepak drops me off, present tense. The hotel is known, present tense. Is not so far, present tense. Is the Marriott, present tense. Is another Marriott, present tense. Is a timeshare, present tense. It's the Holiday Inn. Now, they could all still be those things, but he's talking in present tense, even when he says, we walk along the beach. We walk along the beach. Not we were walking along the beach or we walked along the beach. We walk along the beach. So why does someone use present tense when they're talking about past events? There's two reasons. The number one reason is it's deception. They're not remembering something, and when we remember something, we get it out that remembered part of our brain, and we verbalize it in past tense. That's what happens. If we're being deceptive, we're making up pictures in another part of our brain, not the remembered part, but very much a current part where we're constructing the pictures in real time, so it feels like it's happening at the time we're talking, and automatically we'll use present tense as we do that. There is another reason why we'll use present tense when we're talking, and that is about traumatic events or major events in our lives, where when we talk about them, the feelings come back and we're experiencing those feelings now. And the memories are so vivid because it's trauma that we can see them as if we're seeing them now. So with those feelings that we're feeling now and the images as if they are happening now, we will use present tense. You will see it in a lot of victims of assault. They will talk about the attack in present tense because it's as if they're experiencing it now. So which one is he doing? He's here in present tense. Is it trauma? Is it deception? Both are really possible here. Another thing about this is we can see in all that detail of where the hotels are and what they're known as and so on. He's going to come to some real big admissions, some things that are really stressful to talk about as we go through this confession. So I think this is quite a comfortable place for him to be, talking about that mental map, talking about where hotels are, what they're known as, what type of hotels there are. And I think he could stay in this stress-free place, describing places, hotels, the layout of this area for as long as he wants. He's just delaying getting to the more stressful part of this story. He talks about we walk along the beach. So previously he's said what his plans were and he's taken ownership of them, but he uses the word we walk along the beach. That suggests him and Natalee together. So at this point, I think the we that he's using, it's leaking out that the pair of them were in unison here. She wasn't unhappy about having to walk along the beach with him. At this point, she's fine. That will change. He's asked, all right, do Deepak and Satish get out? Come with what happens? And Joran's reply is no. Deepak and Satish leave. They leave. They go back to their home. I assume they go back to their home. They get in their car and they leave. So Deepak and Satish leave 3 times in this answer. 3 separate times they leave. Why has he repeated leave 3 times? One possible reason is this is a lie. They didn't leave. And that Joran is saying it like many liars will. They'll say the lie part more than once. When we're telling the truth, we say the truth. That's the truth. We've got it out there. When we're telling a lie, we really want to make sure that it's important to us that that lie is believed. We're telling a lie for a reason. So we'll say the lie part more than once just to really make sure the person listening to us gets and understands and has heard the lie. We really want that to sink in, because when we're lying, it's really important that lie is heard and understood and believed. So is that why they leave 3 times? Did they not leave at all? He corrects himself. He makes the assumption they go back to their home. I assume they go back to their home. Now, is this that he knew they went back to their home for some reason? After this, did he go to their home and enlist their help or tell them what happened or something like that? Speculation, but he wants to make sure that he gets across he doesn't actually know if they went back to their home, because then he goes, I assume they go back to their home. Not so, yeah, something interesting there. Did they leave? I'm not entirely sure they left. Does that mean they're guilty of anything? No, I'm not claiming that whatsoever. Or were they involved with Joran some point further down the line, and he knows they went back to their home, and he's having to go, yeah, I'm not supposed to know they did go back to their home. I'm just going to say, I assume they went back to their home. Joran continues, I'm actually with Natalee walking along the beach. That's the only time in this confession, I think, that he calls her by her name, Natalee. Again, I'm with and using her first name, like the we earlier. I think there was, they were walking along the beach again, walking along the beach for the second time. So this is a stress-free part of the story that he wants to stick with. I think, she was quite, even if he had evil plans, she at this point was quite happy to go along with him because she didn't know what was going to happen. So I'm with Natalee walking along the beach. I find a space before we get to the Marriott Hotel where I lay her down. We lay down together in the sand and we start kissing each other. Why is he telling us he's actually with Natalee and not just with Natalee? Well, this follows on from that point where I don't think those guys left, or it's possible those guys didn't leave, which is why he's saying, yeah, I'm actually with Natalee. So really driving home, using persuasive language to turn it up. Not just I'm with Natalee, I'm actually with Natalee. That's what could be going on here. Remember we were walking along the beach. Well, now the language is starting to split. You can see here he's talking more about him. And Natalee is a different person. So there's more of him. There's still we here, but he's talking about him more. I'm with. I find a space. I lay her down. But we can still see he does refer to we there. But we is going to disappear very shortly in all of this. And there's going to be less sign of unity like that. I'm interested in this. I talked about location. I find a space. What does that mean? Why have those words been used? Why not I find somewhere? I find a place. A space. A space suggests somewhere where something is going to happen, doesn't it? Or something that needs filled or is due to be filled. I find a space. Also, we'll note it's I find a space. Natalee wasn't looking for a space. It's not we found a space somewhere for us to, snuggle up or anything like that. It's I find a space. Obviously, that's a space he's going to put Natalee in. So this is controlling language again. I'm sure you spotted the other one. I lay her down. And then when he said that, which sounds horrible, doesn't it? He corrects himself to say we lay down, which I'll talk about in a minute. I lay her down. How do you lay someone down? I think this is the true beginning of the attack. Although his words will say that it wasn't, I think at this point, when he's found this space where this can happen, this I lay her down denotes in his words the beginning of the attack. And then as if he realizes, I said I lay her down and this is not what I'm supposed to say at this point because we're supposed to be enjoying the time together here. He goes, we lay down together in the sand and we start kissing each other. Don't believe that happened at all. I think he's realised that he said, I lay her down, and gone, that is really bad. That gives away that I put her on the ground somehow. So all of a sudden it's, we lay down together and we start kissing each other. It gets worse. He continues, I get her to kiss me again, and we start kissing each other, and I start feeling her up again, and she tells me no. She tells me she doesn't want me to feel her up. I insist. I keep feeling her up either way. Now he begins this by saying, I start, and then he forgets that thought, or doesn't want to finish what he started doing, so he says something else, which is, I get her to kiss me again, we start kissing each other. And then he goes back to say, I start again, and it's, I start feeling her up. And I would think that's what he was going to start this section with. So instead of the kissing again and kissing each other, I think this was, I start feeling her up. So this is, he's laid her, knocked her on the ground, and starts feeling her up. Yeah? I think that's the sort of thing that has happened. And again, he realizes, I can't just say I start feeling her up. I've got to put some notion that there was some romance and some two-way thing going on in here. So I'm going to introduce the fact that we do something. So that's why he says we start kissing each other, but he slips up again. I get her to kiss me. How do you get someone to kiss you? You force them to kiss you. Look, he's controlling. That's really, really obvious in his words. He is controlling here. I think the attack has already happened. Get her to kiss me again was forcing a kiss on her. If anything, I don't think we were kissing each other. Interestingly, he says, I start feeling her up again. He hasn't spoken about feeling her up at all. And yet this is not the first time that he's done this. So I think we're getting the fact, he says here he's being rebuffed, but I think that he's been rebuffed previously. Potentially that's why he lay her down. It was due to the rebuff. He starts forcing himself on her then, because he hasn't told us about feeling her up again, but he uses that word, and there must be a reason why he used that word. I think you'll notice we has disappeared, and this is all about him and her. They have fallen out at this point. I get her to kiss me. I start feeling her up. She tells me no. She tells me she doesn't want me to feel her up. I insist. I keep feeling her up either way. And only that we start kissing each other, which I think is deceptive. I don't think happened at all. I think that is him correcting one of his mistakes. What I will say is that he doesn't stutter when he says, I insist and I keep feeling her up either way. Normally when we've got some stress about saying something because it's not true, or we're going to tell a lie or anything like that, we will go, I. But he doesn't. He does say, I insist, I keep feeling her up either way. That part, I believe, is true. He carries on. She knees me. She ends up kneeing me in the crotch. When she knees me in the crotch, I get up on the beach and I kick her ex extremely hard in the face. She's laying down, unconscious, possibly even dead, but definitely unconscious. And I see right next to her, there's a huge cinder block laying on the beach. So much here. You can see how stuttery he's now got, how he's got. Is he choosing his words carefully? I think he really is, and I think there's reasons for that. She ends up kneeing me in the crotch. This is a jump in time, and quite often deceptive people will leave a lot of details out, and he's leaving a lot of details out here. So she ends up. Think about how we use the phrase I ended up. For example, I tried to book a meal for Friday night locally, but I ended up having to go to town. It's a shortcut when we use it like that. I'm not going to tell you about everywhere I tried locally to try and get the meal. I'm just going to say I tried to book a meal locally, but I ended up having to go to town. I was trying to fix the toaster myself, but I ended up having to buy a new one. I'm not telling you about every little thing I did fixing the toaster. I'm short-circuiting that. I'm jumping time and saying there were problems with my toaster. I had to buy a new one. She ends up kneeing me in the crotch. Things happened here that resulted in her kneeing him in the crotch, and he's hiding them and shortcutting that by saying she ends up. You'll notice, by the way, what's missing here. There's no emotion in this part whatsoever. He doesn't say, because of this kick in the or knee in the crotch, I flew into a rage, or because she was rejecting me, I was mad, or something inside me snapped. He has put no emotion, no reason, nothing at all as to why one thing that she did ended up with him kicking her. He puts no emotion in here at all. He will put emotion in later on. Again, it's just real, so many deceptive markers here. Yes. What else has he got here? Stutters. Extremely hard on the bad things to do. He's nervous of saying them. Extremely hard. Unconscious. Even dead. This is definitely saying this is causing him stress. Again, I think these parts are truthful. They're causing him stress of saying. But again, nothing that's stressful around when he's admitting what happens. I get up. I kick her. He's not going, I kick her. No, so I think this happened, but a lot more happened besides that he is not talking about. Talked about location and how location is important. He tells us here where he was when he gets up. I get up on the beach, which feels to me, wording wise, he's introducing us to a new place, somewhere he wasn't before. And I think, he talked about the space earlier, so that's where this started. But he's been lying on the beach. He didn't say we found a space on the beach. He just said we found a space. So I think that's somewhere hidden, potentially where he could attack her or force himself on her. She's run. He's caught her, laid her down on the beach, and that's why he's introducing the beach as a new place where he was. I get up on the beach. Again, location is really important to him, and I think there was some premeditation to this chosen location. And he's kind of surprised to be on the beach. It's a new place for him. And what else? I see right next to her, there's a huge cinder block laying on the beach. It's too incidental. There appears to be a jump in time, and I see. I think when she was definitely unconscious, he has then gone around searching for something to finish the job off with. But he doesn't want anything there that makes it look like this wasn't over in 10 seconds and it was just a flash of madness that all this happened. He doesn't want there to look like there was any thought behind what happened, any premeditation behind what happened. So lo and behold, there's a huge cinder block laying conveniently right next to her. In fact, it's the block's fault for being there. It's not his fault for anything he did. The block shouldn't have been there and this wouldn't have happened. The next part is the part where it gets particularly graphic, just to let you know. He's asked, when you say cinder block, I'm looking at the walls of this place. Is it like those? And he says, exact same cinder blocks. I see a huge cinder block laying on the beach. I take this and I her in with it completely. Her face is basically, in. Whoosh. He's found the cinder block again. It's moved slightly though. It was right next to her. Now it's just on the beach. Also, I take this, not I take that. I take this. So is that the cinder blocks that he's been pointed out in front of him? And he's gone, oh yeah, it would have been one of those. Don't know. But this cinder block, I don't, it was right next to her. Now it's just somewhere on the beach. The cinder block has moved. Look at the stuttering on the eyes. He's hard to say this. I smash her in. He's stumbling such a lot there. But again, he's not downplaying what happened here. So I think, again, it's loads of deception in the cinder block, where it was, how he found it, how long he was searching for it, even if he got advice on what to do. But I think the basics of it are truthful and honest. He carries on. Even though it's dark, I can see her face is in. Afterwards, I don't exactly know what I'm scared. I don't know what to do. And I decide to take her and to put her in the ocean. More jumps in time. Afterwards, how long did he think about this? What to do. Yeah? How long did he think about that? Again, it's another jump in time. I'll say why I think that jump in time is there soon. But once more, he's wanting to make this sound like it was over in 15 seconds, and I don't believe that it was. I think this took a long time. I think there was premeditation or planning or thought into what happened. And I think that there was a lot of thought around, well, that cinder block and around disposing of the body. You'll see he's really, really thinking and stumbly on this. Lots of nerves and stress when he's talking here. Oh, look, there's an emotion. I'm scared. Doesn't talk about his emotions of rage or snapping or anything like that at all during the attack. But afterwards, I'm scared. Oh, look, funnily enough, is that past tense? I'm scared. No, I am scared. That's present tense. But this is an emotion that would get him sympathy, wouldn't it? If you talked about his rage or his hatred or anything like that, that wouldn't get him sympathy. But he's hoping this is a vulnerable emotion. I'm scared. So he can share emotions if he wants to, but only when they work in his favor. I want to know why he said, I decide to take her and put her into the ocean. Why not just say, I decided to put her in the ocean? Take her, again, we've got location here, because take is about moving something from a location. Take is about movement. And so, once again, we've got location being really important to this guy. He finishes with, so I grab her and I half pull and half walk with her into the ocean. I push her off. I walk up to about my knees into the ocean, and I push her off into the sea. After that, I get out. I walk home. All the stumbles and stress here again. I think this is worded very carefully, but worded terribly. If you can see how many times is he. Like he has to really think about where he put the body into the sea. So I think there's deception happening here, and that's why these stutters and that's why the ums and the repetitions are here, because he's thinking very hard about what to say. Why push her off? Why wasn't it like, lay her down or push her off? Push her off what? Off him, off he doesn't say, off my shoulders, or I'll push her away maybe, but push her off what? Really interested in why he's using that wording there. I'll tell you why I think that is in my conclusions. And also, I half pull and half walk, half and half. Is this the concept that half the effort was his and half the effort was someone else's? Did he have help disposing of the body? I think he did. I'll talk about that as I come to my conclusions. Your conclusions, what are you thinking about this? Let me know in the comments. So, what do I think based on analysing the words? This is a bare bones confession. It's the least he needed to say to get a deal. Is it what happened? Look, he doesn't downplay how he kicked her, where he kicked her, the effect that kicking had, what he did with the cinder block. He doesn't downplay any of that effort also. So that is an indicator that part of it, or those parts of it, are truthful. He doesn't seek to lay blame elsewhere or make excuses, which again is an indicator that he is being truthful. However, there's a lot more that his words reveal than that. The assault beforehand, not the killing, but the intimate assault beforehand, was premeditated, and at least he thought about it beforehand. Or maybe it was, I'll see if she'll play ball, and if she won't, I will make her play ball. But this was premeditated. It was controlled. He was in charge. He was saying what would happen. And he's missing out a lot. We've seen those jumps in time. He's missing out what actually happened in that intimate assault, what made her knee him. I mean, there's enough in there, in my opinion, that he says for him to get severely kneed, but there's a lot more happening as well. He's jumping time there and also moving location. So I think there was a lot more there. He's hiding the changes in location. He's deceptive about why he killed, or he's hiding the why. You know, he's not telling us about the rage or that he snapped or anything like that. I think that's potentially because he out and out assaulted her. She ran, and he was scared that she, you know, oh my God, she's not taking this. Like, she may report me. So I think there's that element to it. Or she ran and he hunted her down. He chased her down, and he doesn't want to talk about any of that because that makes him sound like a horrible, horrible person. I think he's deceptive about how he killed. He makes it sound spur of the moment, but I think there was planning and thought behind it. I'm talking about the cinder block incident there. I think there was a lot of, I've gone too far, I need to go further. What's the best way of doing it there? And he's deceptive about the disposal. I think he had help, and he had something, a boat, a raft, a float, I don't know what, to push her off. I told you, Joran is a nasty piece of work. If you want to connect on social media, connect.neveratruerword.com is a great place to get me. If you got something from this podcast, please share it with your networks. Hit subscribe to get more podcasts like this as well when they're released, and we'll see you with another podcast soon.